So what's going on, Legacy Hack viewers and subscribers? Welcome back to the channel. Really appreciate you guys being here. Yours truly, Tyler McCart, coming at you solo today. Jack has got some other things that he's doing, but I wanted to record an episode for you guys. And one of the things before we get started on today's episode, one of the things I just want to make sure you guys know of the premise behind our channel. And that is, it's a three-prong approach. And what I mean by that is number one, we want to bring you stories. We want to bring you people that are actually in the market, that are actually doing family banking, doing infinite banking, and giving you kind of some perspective of, hey, I'm not the only person, looking at this, or I'm not the only person doing infinite banking, family banking. There's other people out there in the world that are actually doing this, having success, learn from the mistakes, learn from pitfalls. So we want to give you content based upon that. Number two, the second type of content will be nuts and bolts. So what do I mean by nuts and bolts? Nuts and bolts will be kind of like more product specific, or kind of the guts inside what is taking place with, say, a policy. We just recently did an episode based upon whole life versus indexed universal life insurance and comparing those two. So that would be a good example of what other content you'll find actually inside our channel. Three, the last one, is really more on the lines of legacy and attitude and long-term thinking that we want to convey with family banking and infinite banking. We feel like that's a big component to this piece. So today, I'm going to actually be talking really that will be kind of where I'm going with this. There'll be some stories involved with it, but mainly what I want to talk about is how that families really don't lose their wealth with a crash or a stock market drop or a bad real estate investment. Those are real and those are tangible, but really where they lose their wealth is actually at the kitchen table. And I've got notes right up here, so I might be looking back and forth at the screen, but it really does come from the family table. It's what you pass down generationally to your children and to your grandchildren that impacts things. One of my statements I have right here, it all disappears when you have misalignment, silence, and broken relationships. These are big culprits that kind of make the infinite banking or family banking legacy side of this kind of fall apart. I can give you just a quick case in point as far as misalignment. My wife and I, when I was starting to approach my wife with this whole concept of family banking, I didn't really, I thought, hey, she'd be totally on board with this. We're 100% good to go as far as how we're looking at finances. And quite honestly, guys, that was not the case. And so I had to kind of back up a little bit and make sure that my wife and I were aligned before I proceeded forward to actually even executing or actually starting our family bank. That was a big thing for me that I needed to address. One of the things that inside our generation, or what happens to generations, is there's this motto out there of shirt sleeve to shirt sleeve, or plod to plod, or clod to clod. I think that's a better way to put it. Let me make sure. Yeah, plod to plod or clod to clod. Those are kind of some things that are said. And what that means is that the generation that started things, first generation builds the actual bank or builds the actual item, the business, and then the second generation will grow it, but then the third generation spends it or doesn't really do anything. And this transition failure is really the whole crux of the matter, with why that from shirt sleeve to shirt sleeve, why the kitchen table is so important for you and where that money is really lost. It's not tangible money, it's the wisdom that you pass down to your children and to your children's children through that. I'm just reminded of the Vanderbilts. I hate having to always beat the drum of the Vanderbilts, but that's really a classic example of shirt sleeve to shirt sleeve of what took place. The Commodore, or the big patriarch, Mr. Vanderbilt. He built this empire. He got it up off the ground and started to build it, and then the second generation came in and wound up actually growing it to a whole nother level. Well, that third generation just never saw the education or the wisdom or the creativity it took to actually continue to perpetuate this wealth that was passed down, and they wound up being spendthrifts. Basically spending money, having luxurious houses, wasting the money that happened. And if you might have thought, it's like, what were those conversations looking like at the kitchen table? What was going on at those moments in time? They could have easily helped out, the Vanderbilt family for that third generation. So that's another big piece, guys, is those conversations, those wisdom moments that can be passed down for you. So what are some of the natural things? What are some of the things that cause this? Well, number one, lack of communication. I'm reminded of even my own family right now. I'm actually going through this right now with my family. So about 6 months ago, I actually started to gather my family, my children. I got 4 kids, and Amy and we started getting together on Sunday nights and actually having our family planning and prayer time. And we'd all get out our calendars. I actually had everybody get a paper calendar. They would talk about their grades. They would look up what it was on their laptops. The grades were online. They would talk about their assignments that were coming up for the next week. They would also talk about any kind of sports activities or band activities that might be going on. And we plan our week out. Well, that led me to actually saying, okay, I need to take this not just from a weekly standpoint, but I need to start to unveil or pull back the curtain what was going on with my family from a financial standpoint, and start teaching them what, how, and why business is going on with our family from a financial standpoint. And that was a big step, quite honestly. I had to kind of prepare for that. I had to kind of be brave enough. I'll be honest, just transparent. I had to be brave enough and bold enough to actually do that. And that was a big deal. And you've got to start the communication side. The second thing what happens with families is there's no shared vision for where the family is going. Why does this family bank exist? What's the purpose behind it? I was talking to a gentleman the other day and asking him why he wanted to have a family bank. What was the purpose behind it? And he wound up giving me a good answer. All right. And I think that's important, because you need some kind of, the family bank or the infinite banking is just a tool, but you need to have a reason or a purpose for that tool and a shared vision of where the family is going with that. Another big thing that happens is there's no rules, there's no rhythms, and there's no governances. Now, what I mean by that is rules. So with your family bank, and I'm speaking mainly for family bank. Now, if you're just using, the infinite banking system as just a means of, you're not really going to pass this down to your heirs, you're not going to do any of that, then probably this might not matter to you. This episode might not matter to you. But if you're looking to actually have generational impact, then this does. One of the things that you have to have is you have to have, set rules and governances and even codes of conduct around your family bank of how it actually works and why you have that. I know that we're actually creating those, for me and my family right now, setting up parameters around our family bank. I know of one gentleman that he actually has a third party person, an attorney, that once his children or people within the family get to be 18, they actually go and meet with this third party person of the family, and the third party person actually unveils or talks to them through what the family bank really is and how it is governed. And they have a choice right then and there whether or not they actually want to participate within the family bank or not participate. Yeah, that's how far that goes. The other thing I'll say is rhythms. And what I mean by rhythms is actually where that you bring the family back together and you discuss the purposes behind the family, the vision for the family, the values of the family, and also what are some of the opportunities that they can take advantage of with the family bank and how they might be able to take advantage of those opportunities with the family bank. You've got to have meetings, okay? I mean, here I'm talking about just a few minutes ago about me and my family meeting up once a week. Now, we don't talk about the finances and the family bank every single time we meet, but we do at least once a month. And even with our kitchen table, going back to the title of it, even with our kitchen table, we do discuss different, work ethics, character building things. We talk about, some good examples of what people might have done with some bad examples of what people might have done, what we learn from those things. These are things we talk about at the dinner table. And I'll even go and say, do you have a rhythm of at least meeting and having dinner together with your family at least 3 to 4 times a week? I know that even for us with 4 kids and being in all the activities that they're in, it is a little difficult. And I'll probably say that we might get together at least 3 times a week, my family and I, over a meal. We try to make that more, but sometimes it just doesn't work out that way. I'd say probably average is 3 to 4 times a week that we actually get together and meet and have dinner together and talk about just breaking bread together and just having a good conversation. So I wanted to leave you with that. These are the things that I want to just kind of point out. It's something that most people don't really realize that, your children are watching you, your grandchildren are watching you, and you actually bringing them along with you and passing down the wisdom and insight that you have is so important. And I'll end with this one story. I have some close relatives that are actually up in age, and they are now every Sunday bringing their grandkids over to their house after church. They go to the church, okay, and then they feed the grandkids. Now, these grandkids are out of high school and they're in college, or they're actually in the real world and they're single. And this group of family members that I know personally, they're bringing them over, and I know that there are good conversations from a spiritual standpoint and from even a legacy standpoint that they're passing down to these grandkids that they have. And that's just a simple example of being able to pass down generationally this wisdom that you might have for your kids and for your grandkids and even your great grandkids, if you can even think that far ahead. So it's not about so much what you lose, say, in the stock market, or what the business deal that did not go right for you. It's really where you're going to lose your wealth, so to speak, is at the dinner table, at the kitchen table. And Legacy Hack, I just encourage you to establish yourself and get in a know of how to communicate these things with your kids and start those rhythms. And, again, if you have questions about family banking or legacy, or, I know Jack does a great job with annuities. If you got questions around any of those types of things, feel free to reach out to us. You can find our calendar links down below. You can reach out to us that way, or you can leave a comment down below and we'll respond to that comment. But we appreciate you tuning in here at Legacy Hack. We'll come back with another episode, either with a story, nuts and bolts of something, or an attitude / legacy long-term mindset play. So thanks for tuning in. Have a great one.